Your body has been storing fat for years, but here's the disturbing part. Almost nobody tells you. That fat isn't stuck because your metabolism is broken, and it isn't stuck because of your age either. It's stuck because your muscles have quietly forgotten a skill they were born already knowing how to do. That skill is simple. It's the ability to burn fat for fuel instead of constantly reaching for sugar. And the reason they forgot isn't mysterious. It's something you've been doing multiple times every single day. Every meal, every snack, every sugary drink sends a flood of glucose straight into your bloodstream. Your pancreas panics a little and releases insulin again and again just to control the spike. Your muscles get used to that fast, easy sugar showing up constantly, so they stop reaching for fat. Not because they can't burn fat anymore, but because they simply haven't practiced it in years. Think of it like a language you spoke fluently as a child, but haven't used since. The vocabulary is still there, buried, waiting, but your brain has stopped reaching for it naturally. Your muscles are the same. Fat burning is the language, and sugar has taken over completely. This didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, meal by meal, snack by snack, year after year. And here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Walking quietly starts to reverse all of it. Not sprinting, not brutal high-intensity workouts, just simple, steady, ordinary walking on 2 feet. Because walking creates a very specific kind of demand your muscles haven't felt in a while. It's not explosive, it's not sudden. It asks for energy slowly over a longer stretch of time. And that slow, steady demand happens to be exactly where fat becomes the ideal fuel source. At first, your muscles will still reach for glucose because that's the habit they know best. But keep walking day after day, and something begins shifting quietly inside your muscle cells. Fatty acid transport proteins start waking up and working more efficiently than they have in years. Your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside your cells, slowly become more active again. Fat starts entering your muscle cells more easily with every single walk you take. Step by step, walk by walk, your muscles begin remembering something they were designed to do. Now let's talk about why so many people give up before this transformation even begins. When fat loss feels impossible, most people jump straight to blaming their own body first. They assume their metabolism is slow, their genetics are unlucky, or their age ruined everything. The quiet, painful thought becomes, my body just doesn't burn fat like it used to. But in almost every case, that explanation is far less dramatic than people assume it is. Your body hasn't lost the ability, your muscles have simply adapted to whatever fuel shows up most. Human metabolism is incredibly adaptable, constantly adjusting based on what energy source arrives most often. If glucose keeps arriving from meals and snacks, your muscles get extremely good at using it. They build stronger pathways for burning sugar and quietly let the fat-burning pathways go quiet. Not disappear completely, just go quiet, like an old skill sitting unused in the back of your mind. This isn't a malfunction, this is conditioning, and conditioning can absolutely be reversed with the right signal. That signal, as it turns out, is something as simple as walking regularly and consistently. Walking doesn't demand explosive power, it demands sustained energy across a longer period of time. And fat happens to hold a massive advantage here that glucose simply cannot compete with. Your body stores thousands of calories in fat, but only a tiny amount is glycogen. When movement continues long enough, your body naturally starts leaning towards fat as its fuel. Each walk sends a quiet message to your muscles. This demand isn't temporary. Get ready.
Fat transport systems slowly activate. Mitochondria start processing fatty acids more and more frequently. Your body begins rediscovering pathways that were always there but rarely ever got used. So if you've struggled with fat loss, please understand something important right now. You are not broken. Your muscles have simply been practicing the wrong fuel strategy for a very long time. Now, here's a myth that convinces so many people to work out harder instead of smarter. Most people believe intense, sweat-dripping, heart-pounding workouts burn the most fat possible. It feels logical. If the workout feels brutal, surely your body is burning tons of fat. But the actual biology of how your muscles produce energy tells a completely different story. When your muscles need a sudden burst of power, like sprinting or heavy lifting, they need speed. That fast fuel is glucose, broken down almost instantly to produce quick, explosive energy. This lets you sprint, jump, and lift heavy things, but it barely touches your fat stores. Fat metabolism works completely differently. It requires oxygen and a much more complex chemical process. Fatty acids have to enter the cell, travel into the mitochondria, then go through several steps. It's slower, yes, but it's also incredibly powerful because fat holds far more stored energy. And this is exactly where walking becomes strangely, almost magically effective for burning fat. Walking sits in a unique zone, active enough to demand energy, but never intense enough to panic. There's enough oxygen available during a walk to support that slower fat-burning process fully. Fatty acids get transported into muscle cells calmly, without any of that high-intensity urgency. In other words, walking quietly teaches your body to practice using fat as fuel again. At first, glucose will still dominate because that's simply the habit your body has built. But stay consistent, and your muscles start activating the enzymes needed to burn fat efficiently. So while intense workouts absolutely have their place, they aren't always training your body to burn fat. Sometimes the most powerful metabolic shift happens during something as quiet and simple as a walk. But there's still one hormone controlling whether your stored fat gets released or stays locked away. And understanding this hormone explains exactly why your fat refuses to budge in the first place. If fat is your body's largest energy reserve, why does your body sometimes refuse to touch it? The answer isn't hiding inside your fat cells. It's coming from your bloodstream, from one hormone. That hormone is insulin, released by your pancreas the moment your blood sugar starts rising. Its main job is moving glucose out of your blood and into your muscles and cells. But insulin does something else too. It sends a powerful storage instruction to your fat cells. When insulin rises, your fat cells hear one clear message: hold on to what you already have. The doors that normally let fat leave the cell begin slowly closing when insulin stays high. This means your muscles get fewer fatty acids to burn, so they lean on glucose instead. This system made perfect sense thousands of years ago when food wasn't always available. Insulin helped your ancestors store energy efficiently for the inevitable periods of scarcity ahead. But modern life changed everything. Meals are frequent, snacks are constant, sugary drinks are everywhere. Every time your blood sugar rises, insulin gets released again to manage that spike. If this repeats constantly throughout your day, insulin levels stay elevated for way too long. And when insulin stays high, your fat cells remain locked firmly in storage mode all day. This is where walking quietly interrupts the entire pattern in a way most people never realize. When you walk, your muscles start absorbing glucose directly from your bloodstream without needing much insulin.
Muscle contractions actually open pathways that let glucose enter cells even without a big insulin signal. Because of this, blood sugar can gently drop during your walk without demanding a huge insulin spike. Over time, your insulin spikes after meals can actually start shrinking simply from consistent walking. And when insulin stays lower between meals, your fat cells receive a completely different message now. The storage command weakens, and fatty acids finally start leaving the fat cells for good. This is one major reason walking slowly reactivates fat metabolism from the inside out. But hormones alone don't finish this story. Something deeper inside your cells has to cooperate too. To understand that part, we need to zoom into the tiny structures living inside your muscle cells. These structures are called mitochondria, often nicknamed the power plants of every single cell. Their job is converting nutrients into usable energy that keeps your entire body running smoothly. Every muscle cell contains thousands of these tiny factories, and fat metabolism happens mostly inside them. Before fat becomes energy, fatty acids first need to enter the muscle cell through transport proteins. Once inside, they travel into the mitochondria and go through a process called beta oxidation. This breaks fatty acids down step by step, gradually releasing usable energy for your body. But when you're inactive for long stretches, like sitting for hours, mitochondrial activity slowly declines.
the enzymes responsible for burning fat become less active, quietly waiting for a reason to wake up. Your muscles still have the machinery, they just stop using it as often as before. Walking begins reversing this exact pattern by demanding steady energy across a longer stretch of time. This repeated demand sends signals that activate pathways connected directly to mitochondrial function and growth. Enzymes responsible for fat oxidation start becoming more active with every consistent walk you take. And most importantly, your mitochondria themselves begin adapting to meet this new steady demand. With consistent walking, your muscle cells actually create more mitochondria, expanding their fat-burning capacity. Each additional mitochondrion increases your cell's ability to process fatty acids for usable energy. This doesn't happen after one workout, it develops slowly across days and weeks of repetition. But once it starts, your muscles become dramatically better at using fat as their fuel source. This is the biological reason walking gradually transforms how your entire body produces energy daily. After several weeks of consistent walking, something subtle but genuinely important starts shifting inside you. It won't feel dramatic from the outside. Your walk might even start feeling easier than before. But deep inside your cells, the way energy gets produced is quietly beginning to change. In the beginning, your muscles rely heavily on glucose simply because that's the trained habit. But as walking continues day after day, the metabolic environment inside your muscles starts shifting. Fat transport proteins become more active, mitochondria grow in number, and enzymes increase their availability. Gradually, your muscles start pulling more energy from fatty acids circulating through your bloodstream. This is called metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to smoothly switch between different fuel sources. When glucose is abundant, your body uses it, and when fat is needed, it shifts smoothly. For someone who's relied on glucose for years, this flexibility often starts out fairly weak. Energy might feel unstable, blood sugar swings might feel stronger than they probably should. But once your muscles start practicing fat metabolism again, this flexibility genuinely does return. Walking plays a key role here because it repeatedly creates the perfect conditions for fat burning.
Steady activity, sufficient oxygen, and moderate energy demand let mitochondria process fat effectively and safely. Over time, this teaches your muscle cells that fat is a dependable fuel source once again. And when that shift finally happens, several noticeable changes start appearing throughout your entire body. Energy levels become steadier throughout your day, and sudden hunger spikes become far less frequent. Blood sugar stabilizes more easily, and fat stores start actively fueling your daily movement again. Walking itself may even start feeling easier because your body now taps a massive energy reserve. But here's the honest truth. Many people never actually reach this important turning point at all. Not because their bodies can't adapt, but because their signals never become consistent enough to matter. Many people start walking hoping it will retrain their metabolism, and the first few days feel great. The movement feels healthy, the idea of retraining your metabolism through walking feels genuinely exciting. But after a few weeks, some people feel disappointed when their bodies still crave sugar constantly. Fat loss feels painfully slow, energy still fluctuates, and it becomes tempting to assume walking failed. But in most cases, walking didn't fail. The consistency needed for real adaptation simply never happened. Your muscles don't rewire themselves after 1 or 2 walks. They need repeated, consistent signals. Enzymes increase when your body repeatedly demands fat-burning energy production over and over again. Mitochondria grow when muscle cells receive steady signals that more energy production is genuinely needed. Without that repetition, those signals stay weak and your muscles keep defaulting to familiar glucose. Frequent eating throughout the day is another major factor working directly against your fat metabolism. When snacks and meals keep appearing, glucose keeps flooding your bloodstream again and again all day. Each spike triggers more insulin, and if insulin stays elevated, fat cells remain locked in storage. Even if you're walking regularly, your muscles may not receive a strong enough signal to adapt. Chronic stress interferes too, raising cortisol levels that push even more glucose into your bloodstream. This extra glucose becomes the fuel your muscles use, reducing their need to burn fat at all. Poor sleep disrupts hormone signals as well, affecting insulin sensitivity, appetite, and overall energy regulation. When sleep is inconsistent, your body tends to keep relying on fast, familiar glucose pathways. All of these factors interact with the powerful signal your body receives from walking regularly. Walking is powerful, but it's only one signal competing against several others throughout your day. The encouraging part is this: your body doesn't need perfect conditions to start this transformation. What it actually needs most is simple, honest, repeated consistency over weeks and months of time. Once your muscles receive clear, repeated signals, their internal machinery adapts faster than most people expect. Understanding all of this changes everything about how frustrating this entire process used to feel. Your body isn't fighting you, your metabolism isn't broken, nothing inside you is permanently damaged. What's really happening is your muscles are simply relearning a skill they already fully possess. And like every skill your body holds, it improves dramatically with consistent, patient repetition over time. Each time you walk, your muscles quietly ask for a steady, dependable supply of energy. At first, they'll still lean on glucose because that's the fuel they know best right now. But once walking continues for several minutes, fatty acids begin circulating while insulin stays relatively low. Some of those fatty acids enter your muscle cells, and mitochondria begin processing them for fuel.
The first few times, the effect feels small. The pathways are still slowly waking back up. But with every single walk, the signal to your muscles becomes clearer and more consistent. Your muscles need fat as fuel, and over time, they finally start believing that message completely. Enzymes responsible for fat metabolism increase their activity with every consistent walk you take. Transport proteins become more efficient, mitochondria grow stronger, and your fat-burning capacity genuinely expands. Gradually, your muscles rely less on glucose and lean more heavily on fat during daily movement. This single shift creates ripple effects throughout your entire body that are genuinely worth noticing. Energy supply becomes more stable because fat provides an enormous, steady, dependable source of fuel. Blood sugar swings soften because your muscles stop urgently demanding glucose the way they used to. Fat cells release fatty acids more easily now that insulin stays lower between your meals. And walking itself often starts feeling noticeably easier, not because it changed, but because you did. The most powerful part of this entire transformation is that it never required extreme exercise at all. Your muscles don't need brutal intensity to reactivate fat burning. They actually respond best to consistency. In fact, your body often learns fat oxidation best during calm, steady, moderate activity like walking. A simple daily walk can create exactly the repeated signal your muscles have been waiting for. The pace doesn't need to be fast, the distance doesn't need to be extreme or exhausting. What matters most is that this signal shows up regularly, day after day after day. Each day, your muscles receive the same quiet message: steady energy is needed, and they respond. Step by step, they begin remembering how to access fat, the fuel they were built to use. What looks like a simple, boring habit on the outside is actually a powerful lesson happening inside. Every walk quietly retrains your muscles to access one of your body's largest energy reserves. And once your muscles finally relearn how to use that fuel, everything starts working in your favor.